Hello students, I am back again with the second part of this chapter, Chief Seattle speech. Actually, I have received many requests for this chapter. Okay, this is one of the difficult chapter. You think that, but I don't think so. It is difficult. It somewhat is very this chapter. When I study this chapter, I find it's very interesting. So today, without taking you much time, today I will start the text of this chapter. So we begin. Yonder sky that has wept. This I am reading the text also, this original line, and then I will explain in my own words. Okay. So be attentive, children. Definitely, you will take advantage of this chapter. Yonder sky that has wept, yonder sky that has wept tears of compassion upon my people for centuries untold. Actually, here Chief Seattle actually he's a true patriot, and he's a great leader also, and we can say he's a great leader for his own tribe. And in this chapter, in his speech, he tried to show that how can he preserve the rights of the Native American, that means his tribal people. So only in his speech he shows how he wants the welfare of the people who are few in numbers. That means his own tribal people who are left few in numbers, they are handful. So that is why he is saying that this is in the beginning line, in the beginning part of this chapter, this is a difficult time, this is the great problem of the native people which he has explained. So he is saying, yonder sky that has wept tears of compassion upon my people of centuries untold. That means nature, the nature who was so blessing, who was so good for who has showed lot of compassion, kindness towards my people, but now the time has changed. There is no compassion. It is a difficult time for the native people, and which to us appear changeless and eternal. But now that compassion of nature, the compassion of the sky looks that it has changed and eternal, may change. Today is fair, tomorrow it may be overcast with clouds. More, my words are like the stars that never change. He's saying, of course, it is a part of nature. Nature always change. This is a law of nature, that today it is fair weather, but maybe tomorrow it will be cloudy weather. Okay, so it happens in the nature. It happens. Lot of change take place in the nature. But he's saying, my words are like a stars. Okay. In this way, actually, he is comparing his word with a star. A star who do not leave their place. They are definite. They are actually. He says that everything will be changed, but my words will never be changed. So my words are like a stars. He is comparing his words like a star. Which kind of words he is talking about? Which he is going to tell. So you see what he is saying. So he is saying after that, my words are like stars that never change. Whenever Chief Seattle says, whatever Chief Seattle says, the great chief at Washington can rely upon with as much certainty as he can upon the return of the sun or the seasons. The white chief says that the big chief at Washington send us greeting, friendship of goodwill. That means he's saying that now the white chief actually has sent us a greeting, a big proposal of friendship. To whom? To the Native American. Actually, Native American was the Red Indian. Red Indian are called the Native American in this chapter. So Red Indians, they were actually passing very difficult time in those days. They are left few in numbers. Okay, and the white American, they are many in numbers, they are powerful, they are authoritative. Okay, so he's saying that the white chief send us greeting. The white chief says, the big chief, white chief, that means that the son of the white chief. Okay, he's saying the big chief at Washington send us greeting for friendship and goodwill. That big chief, that means here they are talking about George Washington. He has sent them a greeting, a proposal of friendship to the Red Indian. What kind of proposal? This is the kind of them, for we know he has little need of our friendship in return. He is saying that though they are many in numbers, they are more powerful, so little they need. Actually, Chief Seattle says that little they need about our friendship. Means why these kind of powerful people want our friendship? Actually, they are dominating people. Okay, so he is saying that they want to, actually proposal is that the white American want to buy the land of Native American, Red Indian. Okay, so he is saying his people are many, they are like the grass that covers vast prairies. That means why he's saying why they need our friendship, because we are less in number, we are a handful of people, and they are many in number, they are lot of authorities, they are more power, is it right? They have everything in the life. Okay, so they are so much powerful people. So why the powerful people need the friendship of less powerful people? Less powerful, I think they not at all they are powerful. Who? Native American, because they are few in numbers left. Okay, so he's saying why they want our friendship. That means they don't want our friendship. Who says? Chief Seattle says. Next, his people are many, they are like grass. Now Chief Seattle says that comparing white Americans like grass, is it right? Prairies like a kind of thing. You have, I think you might have studied in geography that prairies are the full a big field grounds. Okay, full of the grasses, is it right? So they are just like a grass, is it right? The leaves of grasses, they are countless, we cannot count easily. Got it? So they are big in number, they are many in numbers. Who? White people, white American. My people are few, he is comparing, but my people, that means tribal people, that means Red Indian, are few in numbers. So why they want our friendship? This is a big question. Okay, they resemble the scattering trees of the storm swept plain. He is saying that my people are few in numbers, and the Red Indians are compared by Chief Seattle with what? You see, my people are few, resemble the scattering trees of the storm. That means after storm, all the trees blown away. Okay, and few trees are there here and there left. Okay, so in such condition, in such numbers, my people are. Who? Red Indians. He is saying, the great and I presume good white chief sent us word that he wishes to buy our land. That means in his proposal, the white chief has sent a proposal that he desire in his proposal that he wants to buy our land, but is willing to allow us enough to live comfortably. But as a discount, we can say as a nothing, as a we can say what we can say as a concession, is it right? Means in proposal he said that though they desire to buy our land, but they let the Red Indian allow that they can remain there, comfortably. But actually what? This is the domination of the white people. Actually, what in the return, the Red Indian have to follow them, have to obey them. Clear? They do not have to move here and there. Okay, with a lot of liberty as they had earlier. So this thing, only they are allowed that they can remain there in their native land as it is, comfortably. Okay, means this much place. The white chief has sent us proposal that white chief would like to give them a place to live, to remain there at the same place. Okay, even after he buys his lands, their lands. Got it? So now you see, white chief sent us that he wishes to buy our land, is willing to allow us enough to live comfortably. This indeed appears just, even generous, for the red man no longer has right that he needs respect. The other may be wise also, as we are so longer in need of an extensive country. That means Chief Seattle says that though we are left few in numbers, we are handful of people left, so we need not actually this much big land. So it's good that if that white chief want to buy our land, he can buy. Got it? But the liberty, but the freedom what they had earlier, that freedom in future they would not have. This is the suspicion, this is the doubt Chief Seattle has in his mind. Okay, because they are powerful people, they are dominating people, so definitely if they buy our land, then the Native American, then Red Indian have to obey them, have to go according to their instructions. There was a time when our people covered the land as the wave of a wide ruffled sea covered the shell paved floor. Once upon a time, actually now Chief Seattle become very sad. He is saying, now you see, we are few in numbers, and once upon a time we were many in numbers. Okay, we were many in numbers. Like he is comparing his people covered with the land as the waves of the wind ruffled sea cover its shell paved floor. When the sea waves come, then along with the wave, many shell paved, many shells, okay, come along with the heavy waves of the sea, and they leave that kind of shells, okay, many numbers on the beach, on the seashore. Is that right? Countless shells we can find in which comes along with the heavy waves of the sea. So he's saying we were our people once upon a time, our people many numbers like a shell paved floor, okay, on the seaside. But that time long since passed away, with the greatness of tribe that are now but a mournful of memory. He's saying that, but that time has gone now. Today we are less in number, okay. It will not dwell on nor mourn over our untimely decay, nor reproach my pale-faced brother with hastening it, as we too may have been somewhat to blame. That means it is a blame of ourselves that we are few in numbers. Because of what? Because we have done mistakes. Okay. Untimely decay means we are going to face an untimely decay. That means soon our tribe will going to finish, going to disappear. Got it? So in this way, Chief Seattle says that he is very sad with the untimely decay of his own tribal people. And now he is saying that it is our mistake that we are responsible for our untimely decay. Because why? In his tribal people, youth is impulsive. When your young man grow angry at some real or imaginary wrong thing and disfigure their faces with black paint, it denotes that their hearts are black. Their hearts are black means actually because of the youth of the tribal people, this untimely decay the people are facing today, because they become so angry, excited, okay, they lost their wisdom. In anger, in lot of anger, they do not use their own wisdom, and they fought against the what white people. They were actually powerful people. So what happened? Tribal people, the youths of the tribal people were killed by them. And who suffered? Actually, they lost their life due to their anger, due to their excitement, due to their overexcitement actually. Okay, but who suffered? Only suffered who? Their parents, their elder, their family members at home. They suffered after that. And they are less powerful now. In this way, they fought against the actually Chief Seattle is not in the favor of the war. He is saying the peacefully the person can take decision, then he can decide that what is good and what is bad. But the youth of the tribal people did not take care of this thing, and they died. They died in the war against of white people. White people were more powerful, so they killed them. In this way, the tribal people, went on decreasing their number, and now they are left few in number. So now you see next part. They are often, yes, they are often cruel and relentless, and our old men and old women are unable to restrain them. Who are often cruel? Actually, the youngster, the youth of the tribal people are more cruel, and we can say cruel words for both, because they are cruel because they did not care their own parents at home, their own family members, and in the overexcitement they participated, they involved in the war, and they died. And cruel words belong to the white people also. White people were more powerful, they were cruel people, they killed the tribal youth. So he is saying that old men and the old women are unable to restrain them. In their family, old men are unable to console them, to convince them. Okay, because they did not listen to them. Thus it has ever been, thus it was, when the white men began to push their forefather even westward. But let us hope with the hostilities between us may never return. Because earlier there was a big war between the tribal people, Red Indian, and the Britishers and the white American. Okay, how that hostilities, that Chief Seattle says that hostilities, that angerness, that misunderstanding may never return. That means in this point of view we can say the Chief Seattle is not in the favor of the war. He wants peace actually. He wants peace. That is why he wants that few people who are left in his tribe, they live their life peacefully. We would have everything to lose, nothing to gain. In tribal people, he talk about that they have lost all the thing, nothing to gain. We would have everything. Okay. Revenge by young man is considered gain, even at the cost of their own life. What they gain? They gain only death. They gain destruction. They gain big loss. Old men who stay at home in the times of war, and mothers who have sons to lose no better. Actually, those women who have lost their son in the war, those old men, those old fathers who stayed at home at the time of war, they lost their son. Okay, but they did not convince them. They were not able to show them the right path. Because why? Because those kind of youths of the tribal people are adamant. Okay, they did not listen to their own parents at home. That is why they lost their life, and they only gain one thing, that is death. So children, in this video, this is the first part of the chapter. Okay, in my next video again I will convince you this chapter, the next part of this chapter. Okay, till then you will study deeply, take advantage of this video. Okay, And if you have any question, then you can give your good comments also. Okay, likes my video and just watch it. Take advantage of it. Till then, good day. Okay, bye. Have a good time.